Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and welcome to a review of a knife that I thought I'd already reviewed, like, years ago. I could have sworn I already reviewed the old-timer Trapper, but upon searching my videos, I realized that I have not. So this is the Schrade old-timer Gunstock Trapper, and you know what? This is a classic knife, and we're going to go ahead and give it its due today. So let's get this review kicked off with our size comparisons and blade length measurements, as we always do. But also, as always, guess what, guys? Guess what? That's right, I lost the ruler for a second, but we found it again, so the day is saved. All right, sharpened edge here on the clip point blade, 2 3/4 inches. Overall blade length, if we go all the way back to the bolster, 3 1/16. 3 1/8, we'll call it 3 1/8. Oh my gosh, 3 1/16 is what we'll call it. It's a little bit over 3 inches. So if that's important for you legally, there you go. Wow, we're not off to a great start. I'm tired. I'm filming this after work, but let's keep going. Size comparison time. Here it is against the Rats, of course. Yeah, not a big knife. It's proportioned very similarly to a lot of other traditional knives of this kind of style. I guess we'll go ahead and compare it against our USA made comparisons. There's the Spyderco PM2. There's the Benchmade Bug Out. Sweet. Let's grab our Civivis, because why not? We'll just do the full gambit of size comparisons. Here is the Elementum 2, and here's the Praxis. And let's go ahead and compare against a couple of, I don't know, maybe more appropriate knives. Let's compare against some other slip joints. Here it is against a classic case large Trapper. Here it is against a case Stockman. Smaller than both of those. Thank goodness. That sneeze has been a long time in the coming, guys. Let's compare it against a couple of other Trappers. Here is a Rough Rider small VG10 Trapper, and here is a Rough Rider large Trapper. All right, that's enough size comparisons. I think you guys get the point. What are we looking at for our materials here? Well, we have two blades, a clip point and a spay blade of 7CR17 steel. Could be a lot worse, right? We have Delrin handles, and then or scales, covers, whatever you want to call them. And then we have brass liners. We've got steel springs and nickel, silver pins and bolsters and butt caps. I might have to reconsider doing this video right now. My brain is not braining, but you know what? We're going to stick it out. Let's go ahead and go cut some stuff. Hey guys, you ready to do some review cutting? Boy, I sure am. Feels like it's been forever since I've done some review cutting. Today we're going to be doing review cutting with a knife that I could have sworn I already reviewed, but I guess not. I really thought I'd given this knife a review, but I guess I had not. We're taking a look at the Schrade old-timer Trapper, a classic knife. I bet every single one of you has either owned this knife in the past, or if you go digging through your dad or your granddad's belongings, you will find one of these. I guarantee it. It seems like these are everywhere, maybe with good reason. Maybe, right? We'll find out by the time this review is over. All right, let's go ahead and start off by talking about the action. No half stop, but you do have a fairly decent pop when the blade opens and that spring engages on the close. You've got a pretty good snap. I think this has a very nice slip joint feel. It's very easy to get the blades out, especially the spay blade. You've got a lot of room to grab onto it right there. Opening the knife is very, very easy. I like that you have this area up here that you can put your finger on to prevent the blade from closing. It's not the strongest slip joint action. It's not the, you know, snappiest walk and talk, but you know what? It works. And for a budget slip joint like this, I think it's actually really, really good. I think this really maximizes ease of opening over anything else. And on traditional slip joints like this, that can be a very important deal. All right, I forgot to bring out any cardboard. Let me grab some cardboard real quick. Cardboard acquired. We'll need that here in a little bit. About the carry, no pocket clip or anything, obviously. This is a pocket dropper. You can put it in a slip if you want to, whatever your style is. You know, there you go. It's just a traditional pocket dropper. Let's go ahead and talk about the ergonomics. I already mentioned that I like this ricasso area up here where you can get your finger on the tang of the blade to prevent the blade from closing. I think that's a great safety feature for a slip joint. The knife itself is pretty comfortable. I do like how it swells back here. If you look at the knife from the top, we can see that it pinches in up here on the top bolster and then flares out a little bit and then pinches in again. This is really useful for pinch grips. Pinching, who would have thought? But grabbing the knife like this for some detail work, that big kind of bulbous shape back here locks the knife into your hand really, really well. When you have the spade blade out, might actually even feel a little bit better in the hand just because this blade's a little more low profile. But yeah, the ergonomics work just fine. I mean, I'm not going to say this is like, you know, hand melting ergos, but there's nothing wrong with the ergos on this, right? And that's kind of why knives like this are still being made today, right? They just work. Okay, let's go ahead and cut some stuff. So we have two blades here. We've got a clip point and we have a spade blade. Steel on these, I'm actually not sure what the steel on these is. I will have to check on that here in a second. We've got hollow grinds, full hollow on both of these. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Oh, this was a Blade HQ. Oh, yeah. Blade HQ box. If only you had something sharp. Well, let's see if this is sharp. Go ahead and do a couple of slices with the clip point blade. That was my fault. It got caught in the ricasso. Also, knife might be a little bit dull. We'll find out. Sliced really, really well. You know, we've got thin blade geometry. Let's go ahead and do some utility cuts with the spade blade. Yeah, you know, it's got a nice low tip. You can get into all of these kind of cuts very, very nicely. All right, go ahead and do our rope pull, and I think we'll do the rope pull with the clip point blade, and then we'll crunch down with the sheep's or with the spade blade. Yep, that felt pretty good. Let's go ahead and switch blades here. 1, 2, 3. Not real amazing. Granted, you don't have as much leverage on this blade, and it does have fairly thin geometry. In fact, pretty thin geometry. If I really worked at it, you know, and really like crunch down on it and sawed and stuff, it'll work. But for that test, I just try and push down with normal pressure. Thin geometry typically doesn't do it that well. All right, let's go ahead and cut the pool noodle. One. You know what? We'll do another one with this. 2. Switch blades. 3. That felt really nice. I actually probably could have gone thinner. Let's do that. Let's go thinner. Let's use the clip point blade. Let's see how thin we can go. All right, we're binding a little bit. Okay. Yeah, we went decently thin on that one. I did feel the blade binding up a little bit, but the cuts were nice and consistent. We've got thin blade stock. Passed through the material really, really well. Like most traditional knives, it cuts. It was made to cut, and by gosh, it will cut. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this very classic knife. And that's the first thing that I like. It is a very classic knife. There's something about the old timer knives that I think just look so classic, right? Something about this, you know, these Delrin scales, it's just awesome. Very, very classic, reminds you of your grandpa, reminds you of the Old West type of stuff. I think it looks really, really good. I dig this vibe. I'm also a huge fan of the Trapper pattern. This is one of my favorite traditional knife patterns, so this knife has that going for it too. This does a couple of things a little bit differently than some trappers, which I like though. Because it's a gunstock trapper, we've got a little bit of a different shape to the handle here. And I think this handle works really, really well. It's pretty sophisticated. I like how it narrows up here for pinch grips. I like the way that it kind of curves and swells in the back. It fits the hand really well. You know, it curves both this way and this way. It's just very, very nice in the hand. This is a very comfortable slip joint. And traditional slip joints like this aren't known for being like comfortable. Like these aren't ergonomic masterpieces. But by and large, you know, they're holdable, if that makes sense, right? It's not like they're trying to be hand melting, but they're good and functional. This one here is just about as comfortable as a knife like this can get, in my opinion. I also love this area up here. I think this is really, really smart, where you can get a finger around the end of the blade to prevent accidental closures. You know, just a safety feature on, you know, it's basically a lock on a non-locking knife. This is a non-locking knife. This means it's going to be pretty legal friendly for a lot of places. Not a lawyer, you know, check your local laws and regulations, but by and large, these tend to be legal, and they're also not scary. That's a huge plus with carrying knives like this, is they're not threatening to people, and that can be very beneficial in a lot of different ways. The action is good. It is a little bit soft, but you know, it's all right. I wish it had a half stop. I prefer half stops. This is not nearly as good as like this Rough Rider, but it's serviceable. And honestly, I think it's pretty user-friendly. The blades pull out very, very nicely and effortlessly. You're not going to rip off a nail or anything like that. So honestly, I think the action is just fine. Not the best ever, but I think it's serviceable. Let's go ahead and talk about the blades. 7CR steel, nothing fancy, nothing fancy, nothing special, but it's serviceable, especially at the price that you can get these knives at. You know, you're talking like 15 bucks, right around there. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower. I'll take 7CR, right? It's not amazing, but it's serviceable. I can make do with that. Both these blades are hollow ground, so we've got like full hollows on these. And like most traditional knives, they cut very well. They're meant to cut, and they do cut. You got the spade blade here if you want to do, you know, maybe something a little more demanding. This is a more robust blade, but they're both very, very slicey and easy to maintain. The last time I sharpened this knife, I went kind of wonky, as we can see through there. But yeah, it's going to function like a pocket knife. And I think that's kind of the biggest piece of praise I can give this knife, is that it's very simple in all the right ways. It's a pocket knife, nothing more, nothing less, and it does pocket knife things very, very well. As for the fit and finish, you know, we're pretty good. You can see here that everything is fit the way that it's supposed to be fit. We don't have any major gapping or anything. This is not, you know, on the same level as a GEC or something like that, of course, but, you know, it works. You know, the matchup between the blade and the springs is pretty good. Got a little bit of gap there on the edges, but nothing that I would complain about. Yeah, it's a very well-made budget slip joint. All right, let's go ahead and get on to some negatives. And really, there are none. So, yeah, I think the biggest negative on this knife would be the action. Even though it's serviceable, I do think it could be a lot better. I prefer half stops. I prefer a little more snappiness, but I do also appreciate how easy it is to pull the blades open. So, from a functional standpoint, the action's fine. I do want a little more, pop and lock in my walk and talk, but this works just fine. The materials aren't really the best, but at the price that you're paying for these, I don't know. I really don't think that there's much you could complain about, which makes for a really boring review. This knife is exactly what it looks like. If this is your kind of knife, you've already probably got one of these. If you like old-timer traditional knives, you've already got one of these. If you don't like this kind of knife, you're never going to like this kind of knife, right? If you are this kind of knife only, this is not for you. No pocket clip, no flipper action, no lock, right? I think slip joints are definitely becoming more appreciated these days. I think slip joints are having kind of a resurgence, a rebirth a little bit. But there's still a lot of people out there who just do not like traditional knives and they prefer more modern styles, and that's fine. If that's you, then nothing I can say is going to change your mind about this knife. Is it the greatest slip joint ever made? Is it the greatest knife out there? No, it's not. But it doesn't really have to be. I guess I could say as a negative too, maybe these blades aren't, the best blades I've ever seen on a slip joint of this caliber, but I don't know, they still work just fine. It's really hard to complain about a knife like this in this price category. Because the price is low, maybe I'm not expecting too much, but this knife isn't trying to do too much. It's got a couple of things, that it needs to do, and it just focuses on doing those. And honestly, you gotta respect it. So there you go. That's gonna be the full review. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do. These are great knives, especially for beginners or kids. These are great knives. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Big shout out to my channel members at the Cowboy level. I appreciate everything they do for the channel, and if you want to become a member, there's a button down below. As for the rest of you weirdos, if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.